Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 15 of the Everything Motor Racing podcast. I hope you've just enjoyed that great weekend of racing at Germany, the Sachsenring. We're actually recording this before Sachsenring, so I have no idea on the results. So I can't exactly spoil it for you if you haven't listened or watched the race. We've got a very special episode today. Obviously, I'm joined by Jacob Ward, as always, from Moto2.
What's happening, guys? Good to be back.
And like I said, we've got a very special guest because we've never really had a guest on here before, so we brought a guest on for the very first time. And if you listen to our podcasts quite a lot, you'll have heard this name mentioned a few times. If you haven't seen the title, we've got Sean Dylan Kelly on the podcast.
Hey guys, first of all, thank you for having me. It's awesome to talk to you guys, and definitely feeling special being the first guy on for you guys.
Yeah, man, it's quite I should say humbling. That's not the right word. It's quite. For me, it's mental, like, to have you on here. Honestly, I'm mad happy to have you on.
Yeah,
no, and it's like I said. I mean, honestly, special is the word because you guys been doing the podcast for quite a few months now, and to be the first real guest to be on is super cool. And not only that, we were just talking about it. We've been following each other for so long, and to have you guys supporting me and having me on now is super cool.
Yeah, we've got to have you on. Like, I'm not going to sit here and like lick your ass and blow smoke up your ass the whole time, like, but honestly, like, you are by far the fastest American I've seen that's not in a world championship currently, like,
yeah,
and it angers me, mate. Like, I actually get like anger and pain that you're not there,
Yeah.
Well, it makes two of us then.
yeah. Like, I can't even begin to think how many times we've spoken to each other about you not being in the world championship. Yeah, it's mad.
Yeah, we have had some long convos.
Yeah, we have, and it honestly, like, if you do watch the Moto America, you'll know about Sean Dylan Kelly's name. If you watch the Daytona 200, you'll know Sean Dylan Kelly's name.
Yeah,
you're just fantastic rider, like, and it's just annoying that you're not there yet. It's not your fault, obviously, and we will delve into that a bit later on. But it's like
Yeah, but I mean, I'm trying, and I'm trying my best to, like you said, right, just have my name wherever I can, as high up as I can, and I think the route is gonna eventually line up and take me wherever I've got to go.
Yeah.
But I'm trying my best, and there's guys like you guys, that have been following for a long time and are there. So that's already a big step for me.
Yeah, I think the main thing is as well, you've got time on your side.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it passes by quick.
Yeah,
that's true. Especially in bikes.
I was thinking earlier. I mean, how old are you now? Are you 19 now?
I'm 19. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, because I was thinking earlier. Obviously, Joe Roberts was 24 the other day, and he came over to Europe 5 years ago, I believe now, which was 19 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And look where he is. So, there's time.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's, I just feel like it's, there isn't an exact route, like if I would have had the ideal route, maybe it would have been to go from the Rookies Cup to the Junior Moto3 and done the typical Moto3 route. But that already got skewed over, and I had to come to the US. And honestly, I can't complain. Like I'm having a great career and a great life so far. I'm only 19, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
Obviously, my dream and my goal is still really far up ahead. I don't want to stop here, but even like look at Cam. Cam is he's in Moto2, and he's I don't know, like 9 years older than me.
Yeah,
he's 28.
Exactly, he's 9 years older. So and he's been a Superbike champ 5 times here in the US. So like you just said, Joe, went over when he was 19, and he also did a different path. And there's so many different ways. Like, there's not a chosen route. I think it's just giving it all and trying to see what lines up the best, in terms of timing and opportunities too.
Yeah,
so ideal route now, like next 5 years, what's your ideal route in terms of getting to where you want to be? Like, take us through each step that you would like ideally.
Whoa. If you talk about ideal,
the heck, Jacob.
That's like realistically.
Not like balls to the wall, out to the wall kind of thing. Like realistically,
right.
what
Okay. If we're talking realistically, obviously I want to be in Moto2 in the World Championship as soon as possible, right?
Yeah.
And if I end up getting a seat next year, then obviously I'd want to be in the championship for as many years as I need to become a front runner and be fighting for the front. You know, we know that the first couple of years are learning the tracks, learning the bikes, learning the competition, and you know, taking everything step by step. But that would be ideal, you know, and then whatever, however good I do will depend on how the future is after those first few years. But obviously, let's say, I mean, World Championship is World Championship. There's so much to it, and it's difficult. If it doesn't end up happening next year, I would love to be able to go to Europe one way or another next year.
Yeah.
This is already my third season in the US, and I'm fighting for the Supersport Championship. I already fought for it last year, and we were really close, and we're fighting for it this year. But I want to go to Europe. You know, I want to be over there. Whether it's, you know, the European Moto2 would be great, just to be able to jump on as similar of a bike as possible of the World Championship, be in similar tracks.
Well,
but if it's not that,
level
then,
tracks,
you know,
that's the one that I think is the big thing.
Exactly, and if that's not possible, you know, I've actually last year I had some close opportunities for World Supersport too, and I wouldn't mind getting a nice deal there for the next year or something. So, I think so. Whatever route is in that direction is what it's looking like and what I'm hoping for, of course. But I don't have anything really done or close to done yet, you know. So still just fighting for it.
Perfect. Sick answer to that. Obviously, we want to see you in the World Championship as soon as possible, of course.
100%.
Thank you.
And so what we do, obviously, Jacob's kind of cut in with a question, which is fine. So obviously you're our first guest, so you're the first one to kind of experience this. So basically, we're doing this little thing. I don't know how it's going to work. It might fall flat on its face.
Well, that's my idea, so it probably isn't going to work, but carry on.
Yeah, it's Jacob's idea, so you can take the fall. So what we're going to do is, I haven't even told you this question, so you have no chance to think about it. It's on the spot. Once we've got enough guests on, what we're going to do is make an Everything Motor Racing playlist, which sounds mental. And what we're going to do, we're going to put 5 songs from each of us that we're currently listening to, and then we're going to ask our guests each time we have on what 5 songs you're currently listening to. And then what we're going to do, we're going to obviously create a playlist, and then people can come and listen to that. So it might fall flat on his face, but you never know.
Okay,
that's
interesting.
Yeah, so the questions is, what 5 songs are you currently listening to now to go on the Everything Motor Racing radio playlist?
All right, so I gotta pull up my playlist.
It can be as embarrassing as possible.
Do I need to choose actually good songs?
Not just what you were listening to at the right now.
Yeah,
it can be whatever they want.
Okay, so okay. This is cool. All right, so the first one I'm gonna say is an Eminem song.
Nice.
Good start. Very good start.
And it will be here. Let me decide which Eminem. Okay, Till I Collapse.
Nice. That is a shout.
That's a strong start.
Is that like your gym hype music? You know, like when you.
That's one of them.
Is it?
Nice. And then my second one is also Eminem, and it's "Lose Yourself."
Oh yes.
Tune.
Yeah.
Probably the best Eminem song made. That's a bold statement, I know, but.
I know. Okay, and then I'm gonna go to.
It gets tough now.
Okay.
You gotta think now. Put you on the spot.
Okay, the third one is going to be. Oh damn! This is really hard.
Sorry.
Okay, no. I got this. Okay, the third one.
Yeah.
I love the care you're taking with this. To be honest, I'm expecting big things now.
Oh, now I feel stressed out. Actually,
but he's a pro racer. We've stressed him out.
I started out with 2 big hitters of Eminem, and then
you should have ended on Eminem.
Anything, Yeah.
Yeah, I should have left those for the end.
Yeah, saved your tires and come strong at the end.
Yeah, I messed up. Okay, Devil Eyes by Hippie Sabotage.
Oh, mate, tune.
You know that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good song.
Okay. Man, I feel like I need to stop with the Eminem, but all I'm thinking is Eminem right now.
He just minds just zoned down to Eminem.
Yeah.
It can be 5 Eminem songs if you want.
No, this one's really good too, though. Okay, Eminem, number 4 is Eminem, Not Afraid.
Afraid, nice. So basically, we're just going on like an Eminem route
now.
Yeah,
nice.
Pretty much.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that for me.
But I'm gonna do a little bit more of another type of vibe.
Okay.
The last one
could be any genre, so it's all good.
I know, yeah. Okay, for the last one, I'm gonna choose Imagination by Gorgon City. I don't know if you guys know that one.
No, I don't know that one, but it's going on the playlist.
Okay, there you go.
Perfect. Decent answers. A lot of Eminem there. That's all right.
Yeah, it took me a little while, but
you got there. I think
being put on the spot is hard.
Oh yeah, especially like if someone said right now 5 songs to listen to, I would have no idea. No
There's
idea.
So many songs,
but yeah, like
and the worst part is I have horrible memory, so I actually have to go through a list for me to figure it out. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So what we'll do, we'll make like a playlist at some point. Obviously, we'll get a few more guests on because currently the playlist will have like 15 songs on it, so it's not really going to be the best playlist in the world. But we'll get some more guests on, and then we'll make this big playlist, and we'll make like. I'll make like some nice little story cards and stuff, and we'll put them on their stories and get people to listen in. Like,
yeah, that's actually a smart idea. Like when you told me about having a special question or something, I was trying to think of all the possible things, and it wasn't that. So so that's good.
Yeah, glad it
worked. But yeah, it's obviously it's cool. But yeah, so obviously you've had pretty interesting career, I would say. Obviously, being an American rider, you kind of have some limitations, I would say, compared to like the European riders who've basically been born and bred in Europe and are riding at these tracks for life.
Yeah.
And so I want to know, because I personally don't know too much about your career leading up to the rookies. Obviously, I know about your rookies and I know about your career afterwards, but how did Sean Dillon Kelly become a motorcycle racer and get into the rookies?
So it all started. Oh man, that was all like a school play. It all started.
It all started when.
Yeah,
I was in another round.
Yeah, exactly. I was born here in Hollywood, Florida, which is close to Miami.
Yeah.
I was born and raised here, but my parents are actually Argentinian.
Oh right.
So I grew up, and my parents, most riders are get into this sport because of their parents. Their father either raced or they were somewhat into it. But my parents, not at all. The closest thing to it was that my dad owned a body shop for pretty much his whole life. So he was, always around fixing cars and stuff. And I kind of grew up around that. But ever since I was born, I was super into playing with toy cars, toy motorcycles, anything with wheels and an engine. Since I was born. And then when I was 5, I asked my parents, I just, as something that I wanted. I don't know if it was for my 6th birthday. I think I just wanted it when I was 5 years old. Yeah. I said I wanted to go-karting.
Nice.
And they actually did take me to one of what used to be the only outdoor go-kart place here by Miami, only 20 minutes from my house. So they actually took me. I was only 5, and they tried to let me, ride a go-kart, but the place told me that I was too small. So then the crazy thing is, right in front of the go-kart rental place, still at the track, but just in front of the go-kart rental place, was a motorcycle shop. And there was actually a guy there working with a bunch of motorcycles. And he was just working, he had, I don't know how many motorcycles.
Yeah.
And it actually turned out kind of funny because he was also Argentinian. So it was great for my parents to just easily start talking. And they mentioned, that I wanted to drive go-kart that day. And the guy said, hey, if he gets into go-karts, it's quite expensive, which, take in mind, I think my parents got fooled because motorcycle racing is also very expensive.
Ridiculous.
That's besides the point.
Yeah.
They got fooled. The guy actually had a pocket bike right there. And he was like, hey, if he wants to jump on today, there's a pocket bike, just hop on it and ride.
Yeah.
And I don't know how my parents actually came up to me to ask me if I wanted to ride a motorcycle.
No way.
Take in mind, I was only 5 years old.
Like,
like I don't know what they were thinking, So, and that was the start. Like, I went back home. I got I had a motocross helmet. I got my bicycle elbow and knee sliders.
Yeah.
And I went back and tried it out that day. I was only 5, and I fell in love with it. And after that, I ended up getting a little PW80.
Nice.
I started racing around Florida.
Nice.
And then it took off from there. I started racing when I was 6. And from about when I was 6 up until I was 11, so 5 years, I was racing all along the East Coast, from down here, Florida, all the way up towards New York. I raced all around, and I actually gathered up I believe 11 championships.
Nice.
In those 5 years, one or two of them were nationals.
Yeah.
And then when I turned 11 is when I started going to the big tracks, or that's what we call them, right?
Yeah,
I leveled up to a Ninja 250, which is my first, big bike.
Yeah.
And it started, I just started training for a little bit. And then this was 2014 that I was just doing some local stuff. And we wanted to make a step for 2015. I wanted to race something I just wanted to race something better that wasn't, a regional little championship here.
Yeah.
And in 2015 is when they started doing the KTM 390 Cup, which they started doing it all over the world,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Exactly. And at this point, it was still 2014, and we had some people talking to us about this KTM 390 Cup that they were going to start doing. So we actually started looking into it, reaching out to try and do the Moto America Cup. But it turned out that I wasn't even 12 years old. And the minimum age was 15 for Moto America. So I wasn't even close to being able to, even though we did try. We actually sent emails to Moto America. We tried doing our best to make it happen, but it never did. But everything happens for a reason. And it turns out that Mexico in 2015 was also going to do the KTM 390 Cup, and their minimum age was 12.
Oh,
right.
So it was okay, that's kind of interesting. I never thought about racing in Mexico, but it turned out that, it worked out good for us. It actually ended up being probably 50 times less to race in Mexico than it was to race in Moto America. Really? So for my parents, if I talk to you about numbers, it's ridiculous, the difference.
I believe that, actually, because Mexico obviously is a lot poorer on the whole, isn't it? So
but and it's crazy because Racing Bike Mexico, which is the the national Mexican championship, is pretty amazing. I raced there. So to continue on, right? I raced there in 2015, the KTM 390 Cup, and the last race of the championship was in the F1 track in Mexico.
Oh, really?
Really?
So I raced in that F1 track on a 390 Cup.
Oh my god, that is awesome.
And I kid you not, I don't remember the numbers, but I believe there was over 50,000 people in that stadium.
Oh my god, that's petrifying.
That's the F1 track is the one where you cut through the stand, yeah? Am I thinking of the
correct?
Yeah.
I went right through there. So and with that filled up. So it was pretty amazing to see all those people and for us, to race there. And not only that, like it worked out so well because one, the starting price was already so cheap for us to race there, and two, they actually ended up helping me so much. Like I'm super grateful for the owner of Racing Bike Mexico and a bunch of people over in Mexico that helped me out, because they ended up paying for my flights, they ended up paying for my hotels, and they ended up like totally helping my career and my family out and me out. So it was pretty amazing. I ended up winning the KTM 390 Cup there. And then at the end of 2015, they did the KTM 390 Cup World Finals, which they grabbed the top 1 to top 3 guys of every 390 Cup.
Yeah.
So they grabbed the top 3 guys of Moto America. They grabbed me from Mexico. They grabbed the guys from Netherlands, the guys from Italy, some Asian ones, just guys from all over. And they did the World Finals in Silverstone.
Oh, nice.
So,
Silverstone.
Yeah.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
So, we're British based, and I had no idea that happened.
Yeah, I did.
So listen to this. I'm actually, you guys are going to get super excited right now.
No way.
So I got called up, to do the World Finals. And this was already seriously a dream come true, because keep in mind, I had only raced in the US or in Mexico. Yeah. And I just got, invited to do a World Cup in Silverstone, which was going to be my first ever European race.
Yeah.
And so here was me, 12-year-old me. I go over to Europe for my first ever race, and I'm totally, trying to figure out what's going on, because I had never seen a racetrack that size.
Yeah, it's massive, isn't it?
I was racing against guys like, at the time, Patrick Polkinen that was in Rookies Cup. I raced against some pretty like good names, that went a long way. And I go out, and it was, a race on Saturday and a race on Sunday, and I go out Saturday and I win the race.
What?
So I won my first ever European race in Silverstone, which was absolutely insane. And I think the crazy thing about this is that at the same time that this weekend was going on, 3 months before, so while I was still racing in Mexico, I applied for the Red Bull Rookies Cup.
Yeah.
I applied to see, if I could do the selection event, and they sent me an email saying, "Yeah, you're selected for this. We're selected for the selection event."
Amazing.
So we were obviously that was huge for me just to even get chosen to go for the selection event. Like, forget getting in.
Yeah.
And what played out super well is that the selection event was exactly 2 weeks after the KTM World Finals. So it was great for my parents for my parents to be able to, go do one trip to Europe and not have to go and come back and all this stuff. So I knew I was going to do the selection event 2 weeks after the World Finals. And then there I go. I win my first ever race over there. And on Sunday, I'm going to send you guys the link to the race.
Oh yeah.
It's on race 1. It's the whole race is it's on YouTube, and it's a Moto3 race. Like I think it was a 10 or 15 riders fighting for the win. So
oh my word.
Oh yeah, Silverstone got a hell of a streak, don't they? So I bet there was a bit of drafting going on.
Oh yes, especially big time. And yeah, it's just super special, obviously, for me, to have won that race. And then on race 2, I was up at the front for pretty much the whole race, but I ended up finishing 4th. I was I think I was 0.03 off the podium. And if I would have podium, I would have become world champ of the KTM.
Way.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No. I would have won the cup. So I'm sub-champion of the KTM World Finals, which is still pretty cool considering I was only 12. Yeah. I was by far the youngest one there, of course. And I think that was a pretty big boost for me in my career already at that point. Yeah. And then I go 2 weeks later, I go to the selection event, and, huge process, to be there with so many riders across the 3 days, go through the whole process is just insane.
Sorry,
but when it came down,
cut across you this, because one of my questions actually was about the Red Bull Rookie Selection event and how you found it. So do you want to give us a bit more detail on that?
Yeah, so that's the way you get in. It all starts by applying. First, you have to apply online. Like it's seriously like you send, you go to the website. They have apply now, and you have to send in your resume. They have a ton of questions, things to fill out. What you've done, what you're doing, how tall you are, how much you weigh, what you do, your training. They ask everything. They even ask how, the height of your parents and the weight of your parents and what your parents do. Like they ask everything.
Really?
Which is, which is not surprising being a Red Bull. They take their things seriously. And it's from what they say that about 2,000 to 3,000 kids apply every year.
Wow.
Which is a lot.
Yeah.
And then from those 2,000 to 3,000, they choose about 110 to 130 kids to go to the selection event.
Yeah.
The selection event is usually in Spain, and it's across 3 days. So what they do is the first day, it's only for the Italians and the Spaniards, which
really
is obvious because there's so many of them that they keep the first day only for the Spanish and the Italian. So seriously, what it is they have a bunch of, when I went, it was Metric Kit 2 strokes.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think 2 years ago they changed it to now NSRs or
NSR hundreds now. Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's the 4 strokes. So which lucky kids, whoever are going now, because when I went, those Metric Kits were fucking crazy bikes. Like they didn't turn, they didn't brake. The bars were all bent for the most part. Yeah. The tires were freaking horrible. Like but they're smart. They do it on purpose, because if you can ride that, you can surely ride a Moto3 bike.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, so anyways, back to the schedule. They it's a bunch of those bikes, and what they do is they split you up in groups. So they split you up in I think it's like you get like 5 sessions or 6 sessions each day. And they just give you the bike and you go and ride. Like that's it. All you do is ride for 20-minute sessions, and they're there taking their notes, looking around, like they're studying everything. And after the first day, they choose. So let's say it's about 50 Spaniards and Italians for day 1. They choose from those 50, they choose 20 to go to the last day. So day 3.
Yeah.
And then on day 2. The rest of the world rides. So there was me riding in day 2, and same way, just a bunch of sessions. All you do is go and ride. Yeah. And from those, 60, 70 riders on day 2, they choose another 20 or 40 or 20 or 30, whatever, for the last day. So you have like a first cutoff. So already, when I got chosen for the last day, I was already like, going crazy and super stoked.
Yeah, because from what I gather, they don't pick you based on pure performance. They pick you on how you're progressing. Is that right? And how you're doing like the basics in terms of trying to improve.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's Red Bull. They choose you because of everything. They choose you for the way you stand up, the way you look, the way you talk, the way your natural talent, your natural speed, the way you first sat on the bike and the way you finished on the bike. Your first lap out to your last lap out. They look at everything, your body position. Like they look at everything, and then it's just it makes sense for them to do that. And then, at the end of the day, there's always going to be something that we don't know. But for sure, like just from what I've experienced, they look at everything. And so I got chosen for the last day, and the last day is obviously it's insanity, to be there, go through the whole last day. And then you're seriously, gathered around with, really they're only choosing between those 50 or 60 kids, but there's still the other 120 total, that are around there because they don't leave, they just stick around. All those kids, and they seriously, they just start talking and they start listing names, and it's one of the most nerve-wracking things ever.
Can you describe the feeling when they said your name?
Oh no, like it's hard. It really is hard to describe because like I felt like everything went numb for a second, and I just couldn't believe that it happened. Because I seriously, like I remember like 2 years before going to like selection event, like my dad and I would sit down on the couch or on his bed at night and we would watch the Rookies Cup races.
Yeah.
And for me, like, you know, it was only 2 years before that, but for me, or even the year before the selection event, I would be in bed watching these races, and for me it seemed like something so far away.
Yeah.
Like I remember it like today, just watching that race, and it just seemed so far away, like something that was, you know, just almost impossible to get to. And then the moment I heard my name, it's like that memory flashed back, and like, wow, they just chose me, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was huge, obviously for my parents and for my dad. Unfortunately, my mom couldn't go to the trip, but my dad was there, and yeah, it was insane. But at this, you know, for us to get chosen was an absolute dream, even though at the same time it was the start of a really, really tough road.
Yeah,
because I remember, you know, getting back into the rental car and driving out of, I don't tell this to many people, but now that we're in the mode or in the mood, I'll say it. I actually remember like stopping and crying with my dad of like how happy, you know, I was.
Yeah.
And then he actually looked at me and he's like, all right, but like, we're going to have to do a lot now.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're going to have to move, and we're going to have to figure out like how we can make this happen, because like it's only the start of something like pretty rough.
Yeah.
And I was like, and like for me, that was like, obviously like I was ready for it. I didn't know what to expect, but I wanted to do anything. And it turned out to be like that. Like this was October, and we ended up going back home, and my parents started, you know, doing everything to move to Spain. And it was a really huge move, you know. Obviously for me now, at the time I was 13, now I'm 19. Now I know a little bit more of what it is to, you know, be a little bit older, have more responsibilities, know what true worth is of life and money and stuff. And like, I can't even imagine, like, truthfully, like from my parents' standpoint, what it was to do everything, because it's insane. Like they literally left their entire life for me to go with me to Spain.
Do you know what? John, you have some great parents, but
yeah.
Really do, right? Yeah, no, it's insane. And like the things that people don't know that happen behind the scenes, like we can seriously write a book. Like we've always made jokes about it of writing a book, because the transition from, you know, getting chosen to the Rookies Cup and then going to Spain and just making it the first year, like forget the second and third year and then coming back to the US. Like that's I can talk for days.
Yeah.
But just the transition to go there, like I mentioned to you guys, my dad always owned a body shop, and he had his own cars that he would buy and sell apart from that. And he sold his body shop. He sold all his cars. My parents put the house up for rent. My mom left her job, and we just completely left to Spain. So left everything behind, and it literally left everything behind without me even knowing if I was going to be able to do more than one season.
Yeah,
you know, because that's the way the Rookies Cup works. You know, we could have finished the first season, and if the Rookies Cup said, "Hey, you're done," I probably would have been done. Like I probably wouldn't have had any more racing after that, because one, my parents were down in a ditch, and two, you know, I was still only 13. I couldn't really prove myself in the first year, so I wouldn't have had any other opportunity, I think. So but the fact that the Rookies Cup gave me a second year and then they gave me a third year was everything. You know, it was absolutely everything, even though it made my parents completely go to shit pretty much. But yeah, I feel bad, but look, you know, everything turned out. It's just crazy. Like I'll try and kind of speed up the last part of the, you know, the last couple of years, but you know, I did my second year, and then I did my third year in the Rookies Cup, and obviously they were really tough years. Like my first year was super tough. I had, you know, I went into the Rookies Cup, and I didn't know like what I was going to run into. I don't think you're alone there. If I have one super vivid memory of my first time on the Rookies Cup bike, I think I had just turned 13 years old. I had never ridden a Moto3 bike, period. I had never been at Jerez. I was tripping. I'm sorry for my words. I was tripping balls pretty much. And I I remember going down the straightaway at the back of Jerez, and as I'm about to start getting on the brakes, listen to this closely. I'm about to start getting on the brakes, and Raul Fernandez comes by me on the Moto3 bike on the outside of me, still tucked in.
Oh my!
And he starts braking like 50 feet in front of me, on the curb on that bike, and I'm like, "That's what I have to do."
This is next level.
That is the level.
And I was like, "Wow, like that's what I'm gonna have to do." So it was a really, really big wake up call for me.
Yeah,
and it was difficult for many reasons. Like I had a lot of crashes in my first few weekends, which didn't help out at all. I had a lot of pressure, from everyone in general. I had a lot of pressure on myself, and it was super tough. I was super young. I didn't know much. I was kind of, just going through a lot too. But it turned out to be good. It built me a lot of character, and it built me, even the second year, and then especially the third year, like it built me in all ways, mentally, physically, and then also technically, obviously on the bike, it built me in so many ways. And to me, like, obviously it would have been something super important for me, I think, if I would have been able to podium, but for me to have, finished, literally only inches away from the podium was already something huge for me. For me to have been on the front row with, guys like Dennis Onku and Chan Onku at a race like Assen, and to have, led a race, like even that for me is already, amazing. So to have been able to do that in my last year was amazing. But then at the end of the year was quite crazy, because I finished 2018 and I knew it was going to be my last year of the Rookies Cup.
Yeah, of course,
obviously, 3 years is the max. So I knew that it was over. Like, I was super grateful for them. Like, I still am. I freaking love all those guys. I try and visit them as much as I can whenever I'm there in the paddock.
Yeah,
but I finished the Rookies Cup, and then I was like, all right, what's next? Because I had nothing. So obviously my goal would have been to do the Moto3 Junior Cup, just because at the time of the Rookies Cup, everyone else was there. Everyone else was doing either the talent, some type of talent cup, or they were doing the Moto3. Like, they were all doing more than one championship.
Yeah, because you had like Rolf Fernandez, who was third in the Rookies and third in the Chev as well.
Exactly. Yeah, and obviously, just like him, there was a bunch of them. So
loads of them.
That's it.
So that would have been my natural step. I tried my best to do it, but we already know when it comes to CEV, like, if you're not one of the top guys, like, you need to go in with money.
You need like hundreds of thousands, don't you?
Yeah,
6 figures.
Even if you are one of the top guys, you still need to bring in money sometimes. So I had no shot. Like, there was teams that wanted, like, had interest because of whatever reason, but they were like, yeah, we all need money. So I had no sponsors. My parents, sure, I shouldn't have anything. And seriously, all we had was a couple practice bikes, and that was really it. So so come end of 2018, there was again, like, when it comes to details, I can talk for days, but the overall was I had nothing coming up to December, and up until December, like, I didn't know if I was gonna live in Spain again, if we were gonna have to move back to the US, if I was gonna race or if I was not gonna race. Like, I had nothing. I at that point, December 2018, I didn't have anything. I wasn't gonna race at all. We were just gonna try and see how we were gonna live again. So
that is sketch.
And then from one day to the other, I get a call from Robertino Pietri, which I don't know if you guys know. He's actually like the team manager of Italtrans Moto2.
Yep.
No, yeah, I recognize the name.
The only Venezuelan
to
have scored points in the Moto2 World Championship.
Exactly. Yes, and he's pretty much like, he's my guy. Like, he's known me since I grew up, since I started racing. He's always helped me out with a bunch of stuff, and he actually is the one that got me first connected with Suzuki, with Team Hammer. Here in the US. And the reason was that he was actually, at the time in 2018, he was still doing some like one-off races at Daytona with Team Hammer.
Oh, right.
And this was like just after the end of the season of the Rookies Cup, October. He called me up one day and he was like, hey, I'm supposed to do this race in Daytona with Team Hammer, with Suzuki, but I'm not able to make it. And I told them that I want you to ride. Like, are you down to do that? And like, for me, I was like, dude, like, are you talking for real? Like, like so much went through my head because I'm talking about like, it'll be my first time like racing on a 600, which I'd love that. It'll be at Daytona, which is insane. And it'll be in Team Hammer, which is one of the best teams in the US. Like, it was like one of those dream calls. So I actually ended up going. I did that race. I won the race. It was just like a race of champions. They do it every October.
I like how you say that so casually.
Just I won the race, you know.
Yeah, it was easy.
Just whatever.
So it was obviously it was great, like super good. I was stoked, but at the same time, like nothing. I didn't know if anything was going to come from that, so I couldn't really like get super excited about it. Because this was October, so it was just after the end of the Rookies Cup, and then a couple months have passed. You know, November passed, December passed. I thought I had nothing, and then seriously, like when it came to the end of the year, I actually just called up John Orich, which is the owner of Team Hammer, and there was a guy that was trying to help me out to pay some team to have me to ride and stuff, but I don't know. It didn't really seem like it was going to work out. So I called up John Ulrich. I was like, hey, I'm just going to be straight up with you. I have no ride for next year. I have no money. I have no sponsors. Like, can you help me out? And he said, okay, when can you come to California? And I was like, I was still in Spain. I was like, I'll be there next week. He was like, okay, cool. So 16-year-old me, I went by myself from Spain all the way to Cali.
Oh my God.
I drove to their office or whatever, and they had a 2-year contract waiting for me. So
no way.
Oh, fair play to
so
you,
it was
round of applause for that.
Fair play,
like I get kind of like goosebumps and excited when I talk about it. Like it was such a dream come true because like not only did I not have to pay, like it was a paid contract. Like they were paying me, based off results.
Yeah.
And that was just, it was seriously like, it was such a turn of
fortune,
of just life, like of everything. Yeah. Like everything was just so crazy. And like I still remember, like obviously I was alone in California, so I still remember like calling my parents and telling them that I signed with Suzuki, and it was just like, man, it was just crazy, ever since that happened, it's been incredible. Like it seriously saved, like not only my career, obviously it saved my career, but even just like my life, like I was able to move back with my parents here, and just, have like a decent life, like get our house back, live, keep on living and keep on working and just like keep on moving forward and with things, so
keep pushing.
Yeah, fair play.
Yeah. So
does your dad have his body shop back?
Oh no. We're not doing that good. let's not get too excited. We're not doing that good. But no, like at the end of the day, like I think it was also a turn of page for him. Like even though he did that his whole life, like I don't think he's at the age now to be doing that anymore.
Yeah.
Like if he would be doing it, maybe he'd be more of like in charge of that, in charge of a body shop. But that would mean like a pretty big business, and we're not there yet. So
one day
we'll see though. Maybe one day. Yeah, we'll see what Pops wants to do.
Yeah, perfect. Well, that was a mental story, but thank you. Obviously, we kind of just let you talk. Didn't want to interject too much because I never knew like obviously how you got in there, but it's quite funny you mentioned you finished second in that KTM championship, because you seem to come second quite a lot these days.
Oh. Hey, don't say it like that. Come on.
Sorry, man.
You're doing me dirty. Yeah, but it's okay. Like, we all have our reasonings.
It's just we
so
we all have our reasons.
That was actually right into my other question that I had for you. In terms of Moto America, and obviously there's a whole debate about the 636, etc. Would you allow it if you were in charge?
Jacob,
come on.
In terms of
here,
because obviously Kawasaki, it does seem to have a slight top end advantage over the other bikes because it's extra 36cc.
So So my nice response is no, and my bad response is fuck no.
Nice. I like it. I rate it.
Yeah, like truthfully, I mean, look, like I've been very straight up. This was a huge dilemma last year. Like I got a lot of haters from it last year, and I really don't care. I love it. I love the hate. But
fuels you.
My man.
Yeah,
That's
no,
the
for
attitude.
sure.
I love
but
it.
Yeah.
but at the same time, like what people don't understand is that I never disrespected the rider on that bike.
No.
I always gave props because the guy racing that bike is legit. He knows how to race, he knows how to ride, and he's a legit guy.
Yeah, he's rapid.
But he's been in that championship for some years. He was always with an R6, and he was never able to be up there. He was never able to really do a step, which is fine. Some riders with a certain bike and certain team, they can't make it happen, which is why people change.
Exactly.
But then it's not magical that a guy like that then goes to a 636 and then totally dominates and wins 11 bike races in a row. Like he didn't wake up one day and have a good breakfast and then start dominating, right? But that's also fine. Like that's racing. Sometimes the package like that team did with that bike and that rider, it's good enough to dominate, and that's okay. Like that's fine.
Yeah.
But the fact is, that bike is clearly at a slight level above the rest, and the fact that that Moto America didn't want to do anything about it it's just, I don't know. I don't find it fair.
No,
right?
It's not
I think that's the main word, isn't it? It's fair.
And the point is, like, again, I'm already sick of talking about it because I've talked about it all of last year, and I think I proved my point of what I wanted to say last year. But like the biggest thing, I just feel like it all came down to politics because the main sponsor of MotoAmerica Superbike is Honos, and the team owner or the team sponsor or the team name of that 636 is Honos.
Kawasaki.
So just do the math, and you don't really need to. Yeah. So I think that's just the reason why I think this side of the sport is just it sucks. I do think that's the reason why nothing was done, because we always asked for even a little change. Like we're not asking. Last year my team didn't ask for a huge change. They just asked for something minimal to try and see if it was really the bike or if it was the rider. Because whatever, if they thought it was me, they thought it was me. But the fact that they never even tried to do anything at all, it goes to show a lot. They didn't even want to put our bikes on the dyno at the end of the season. Like after the last race, they didn't even want to put our bikes on the dyno
because they knew.
Like, come on, man! Like
they knew they would be wrong. They knew that it would prove a clear
decision. Yeah, it was only 36cc, but that in terms of bike racing, that's a lot.
That is massive.
Especially when you're talking about like two good guys on top, like at the limit. Like we're taking our bikes at the limit. Like, dude, give me 36ccs on my bike. Just watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Like truthfully, like,
you proved you're on the limit at Moto America. Like,
yeah, like that. Yeah, that was proof, right? I screwed up, but like it is what it is.
Yeah, I was more curious as to what you would do if you were in charge. I wanted to see if you would almost keep it as a proof of a target or whether you would outlaw it.
No, I mean, last year I already went through it enough. It was honestly frustrating at times, because I felt like I still feel like I am capable of being consistently up there and not, being completely demolished at times. And but what I say to a lot of people is, even though I wanted to win that championship last year, and I wasn't too far off, I was 40 points off the championship at the end of the season.
Just close.
Even though it was close, and even though I really wanted to win that championship, and I think it would have been important for me in my career, I learned so much last year having to totally run behind that guy and run behind that bike on the limit on my machine. I had to do it every single session out there just to be even close to him. It taught me so much that like I need to be grateful for that.
Yeah.
Because if I wouldn't have had, like, let's take him out, like let's say he wasn't even there last year, I would have pretty easily been up at the front the entire season, and I probably wouldn't have learned, I wouldn't have learned what I learned, and I wouldn't have the information that I have now to this day, you know?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, like if I look at my long-term career, that's something that I need, you know, to have a year like I had last year that was super tough. I had races that I wasn't even getting close to him, but I just kept on working every single weekend. I got mentally super strong because of it. I had frustrating times. I had times that I was super, you know, just frustrated and pissed off and mad, but it built me so much.
Yeah.
And it taught me how to completely take my bike to the limit, you know? And you know, I finished off, you know, in the best way possible last year. And then, you know, here I am now, you know, still fighting my best. You know, it's still some tracks are going to be harder than others, but I'm leading the championship right now, which is super good. And we already started off with 3 wins in the first 3 races. So I feel good, but, you know, I'm just trying to keep my head in the same spot and just, you know, pushing forward and doing everything I can.
Yeah, you can only do what you can do, can't you, at the end of the day? You can't control the others.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
exactly.
The thing is, though, obviously you struggled last year against this advantage on the bike. This year you're doing the opposite, and if anything, it seems you've managed to... He's got that extra 36, which is about 5% more. You seem to have found an extra 7%, and you're riding... the way you're riding is more than what CC's got, if that makes sense.
No, it is.
Yeah,
100%.
I know what you mean. And that's... obviously, that's my goal, right?
Yeah.
Like, I came into the season knowing that I was going to... honestly, I didn't know how I was going to walk into the season. I didn't know if he was going to be just as dominant as last year, which would have sucked, or if he was going to be more dominant because he already has a season with the bike. So maybe he would have done another step, just like the team. Or if we were going to be better, if we were going to be worse. Like, I didn't know what to expect, but I didn't think about it too much. Like, I seriously, I went to my first race weekend and I just went to do my absolute best and just worry about myself. And it turned out to be one of my best weekends. You know, I gapped him in both races, which is freaking sick.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to do that so bad since all of last year.
Good.
It felt amazing. So it was great, you know. But like I said, I mean, he's still making some progress this year alone. But I mean, we're going way quicker than we did last year, which is fucking crazy. Like we went consistently, you know, 1 second to 2 seconds faster in the race this year than we did last year. Like almost 2 seconds, like every lap is crazy.
That's,
you know,
mental numbers.
It just shows that we stepped up, just both, you know, in all aspects. Like me and him too. We push ourselves a lot, so it's cool. Like he's also a cool guy to race with.
In a way, you can almost be grateful for having Escalante there because he's pushing you to new levels.
Yeah, like I don't want to be that nice to him about it, but
it's not the way to word that, really, is there?
There's no good way to word it, but here, the right way to say it is this year. No, like I don't even want to talk to him about talk to that guy about it this year. But if I look at last year, that last year's already done. Last season's already been, you know, we already did last year. We finished P2. If I look at the right things to look at, I need to be grateful for it because I learned a lot.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I can say about
it. That's good attitude, that is.
And you can't buy experience at the end of the day. It's the one thing you cannot buy.
Exactly.
So actually, what we've just discussed perfectly, I genuinely, it couldn't have been any more perfect. Perfectly leads into my next question. Basically, which is, who is the best rider you've raced against? Not in terms of what they've gone on to achieve, because obviously you've raced in the rookies, you had like Ralph Fernandez, Dennis On2, etc. But more so in the relation to how hard they've pushed you when you've raced them.
Gosh, that's tough. Well, it's truthfully, it's tough because I've raced against so many guys in the Rookies Cup.
Yeah, of course.
But when I was in the Rookies Cup, obviously I felt like it was myself against, you know, a line of 20 other riders.
Yeah.
Whereas, so it's different then, like then it's the Rookies Cup just feels like an entire learning experience of fighting against that many riders at the same time.
Yeah.
And there was never one designated guy, like the Rookies Cup is Rookies Cup. Like you watch Moto3 and it's always like that for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But truthfully, like if we're going to talk about it, like for sure the last year and a half, it's had to be, Richie. We've been head to head in a lot of races. And he's been able to take me to another level, even in practice sessions, we're always constantly wanting to one be in front of the other just to get that extra edge on each other. And for sure it's been Escalante the last year and a half.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes complete sense.
Yeah.
I kind of, from what you just said, it kind of answered it in my head already, but I wanted to hear you say it.
Yeah.
No, like I think that's actually showing a great deal of maturity in that you can realize that and use it to your advantage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like, because it's hard. I don't want to sound like I'm like, I don't know, talking down to you, but I'm 23. Jacob's like, what, 28? He's a bit older, but like, it doesn't feel like we're talking to a 19-year-old kid at the moment.
No,
the level of maturity you're showing is mental.
Yeah, it feels like I'm talking to someone my own age. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I get that a lot. Just I think it's one. My parents, have always taught me really well, and I've just grown up, to be like that. But also, when I was in Spain, I never was really around kids my age. I was 13, 14, 15 when I was in Spain, and I was always with guys that were just hanging out day by day or training with guys that were in their 20s. So at the end of the day, you grab onto that and you become what you surround yourself with, but also the experiences. Like I think I've gone through, even though I'm only 19, I think I've gone through a lot more than other people have up until this age already. And that just teaches you, that it gets you stronger and it gets you, just gets you stronger in a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, I was wondering the answer to that question until you started speaking about the rookies and your journey, and then it sort of answered it for me.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
So I've got a bit of a horrible question for you now. And I'm going to apologize in advance, and I'm really sorry for this because this is horrible for me because I watched this live, right? And I was shouting, mate. I was so
I already know this is going. Don't even ask me.
I don't think you do, to be honest. You might do actually.
Okay.
You might do. So
well, hold on. Where do you think this is going, Sean?
Just ask the question. Get to the point.
So, you can talk about the incident of the weekend as well into this, but the question I want to ask is because I respect you and I respect Brandon Pash quite a lot. I talk to Brandon a lot, and you both fought your hearts out at Daytona.
Yeah.
You two absolutely tooth and nail, and to see two 18, 19-year-old kids battling like that was mental. But I want to ask, what was the feeling of finishing second at the line at the Daytona 200?
So that's why I knew you were going to ask that. So can we just hang up now?
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you actually knew it. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, obviously I'm going to be straight up about my feelings. Like I'm not going to hide anything. Like obviously that has to be the one result that hurts the absolute most.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because it's it's the Daytona 200. I mean, it's one of the biggest races, for sure the biggest race in the US, and then one of the biggest in the history of racing. So
it's massive. I mean, we had British riders like Michael Dunlop going over there, massive.
Yeah. Exactly. And it was already, my rookie race with Team Hammer, doing the Daytona 200 in 2019, I did pole position.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. I was, and I still am, and I feel like I will be for a while, the youngest ever to do a pole position in the 200.
Yes.
And then I came back this year, and I did pole position again, which was crazy.
Amazing.
Because I don't know, I didn't have that feeling going up to the qualifying. So to have done that was already crazy. And honestly, I just felt so good in the race. We went out. We did a super good job. Like my team actually made a really big mistake in 2019 in the pit stop. and I actually lost a lap. I was a lap down from everyone. And I got out of the pits in 2019, got out of the pits. I was a lap down, but I actually ended up unlapping myself. So I passed Pash and Bobby Fong. We're fighting for the win.
Yeah.
I came out of pits behind them. I actually passed them. And when I passed them, I technically unlapped myself.
Yeah, of course.
And even though I was a lap down, I was only like 8th.
And you overtook the leaders to do it.
So I had to pass the leaders. I unlapped myself, and then the red flag came out.
Oh, man.
And the red flag came out the lap I passed them. So I technically unlapped myself.
Yeah.
And I was able to restart the red flag on the same lap as the leaders.
Nice.
So and I went on and I finished second behind, Kyle Wyman, it was obviously insane. Like, even though I really wanted to win it, it was still crazy because it was, my rookie year, my rookie season, my first ever race to 200. So I was super stoked. But then this year I was like, I felt more like the man, like I came back from 2 years. Like I just felt better.
You waltzed in like, let's go, I've
and then, but still the 200, like, there's so many other factors that it's not even like a regular race. A regular race still has a bunch of things that are out of your control, but the 200 is like times 10 to that, between the pit stops and just the way the track is, it's not a regular racetrack. It's
terrifying.
80%. It's 80% drafting, so there's a lot of tactics to it. And honestly, I just made a huge mistake. I got a little bit too cocky. I left the pits with a gap, and we made a little mistake. I didn't know exactly how much my gap was for a while because of the pit board, but once I saw that I was getting caught up, I tried to just keep my own rhythm, and I made the mistake of not thinking that I was at Daytona and it's not a regular racetrack.
Yeah.
And because I remember looking back like 2 laps ago, and because I knew it was Brandon, Brandon and I go back, like, seriously, we raced together when I was on 65s.
Really?
When we on 65cc bikes.
We go the same age as well.
Yeah.
He's like a year and something older than me.
Oh, right.
So we grew up, we raced a handful of times together in different bikes, different championships, obviously in Moto America in 2019, last year.
Yeah.
And he had never really been able to beat me before. So, I had kind of a cocky feel in me when I looked back and I saw him. I was like, oh, okay, like, I'm not going to let him by. And that's just a mistake of mine, like I didn't think of the fact that I was at Daytona, like I'm not at a regular racetrack where I can just block lines.
Yeah.
Like if I can look back and talk to myself, to my Daytona 200 self as I'm riding, like I would say, dude, you're at a racetrack where you need a slipstream 80% of the time. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I got confident. Like, the reason I got confident, well, at the same time, like I say that now, but I thought about it while I was racing, and I said, okay, like, should I try and let him by? Which I knew was going to be difficult because, Brandon's not dumb in some ways. I'll say he's dumb in other ways, but in some ways he's not dumb.
God, I hope he doesn't listen to this.
No, he can listen to it. It's fine. He can listen to it. It's all good. It's all good. I don't care. He knows I don't care.
Oh, cool.
And then, so I know he wasn't going to make it easy if I let him by me, because it's Daytona. So then I said to myself, okay, like, I'm just going to I'm just going to give it everything I've got the last lap, and just hope for the best at the finish. And I actually, if you look at the lap chart, I did my fastest lap on lap 57 of the 200, which is pretty crazy, considering it's a almost 2-hour race, and to do it on the last lap after, a 20-something lap tire is pretty crazy. So it just shows that at least I did what I put myself up to, which was give it absolutely everything on the last lap, and I gave it everything. I thought it was going to open up enough of a gap for Brandon not to be able to catch me, but it just ended up being perfect for him to slip, get me down to the line. So yeah, it sucks.
Of course,
I definitely wish I could have won that, but it's all good. Like, I know I feel like I'm going to have another shot in my future to win that race. And whenever I do, I'm sure Brandon and I are going to be, with 2 Rolex watches, taking pictures, for the Instagram down in New York, because I know that's what he likes to do. So I'll go do that with him.
Joe Dog,
yeah,
nice.
Man. Yeah, because it's all good.
He was in, because obviously I follow him on Instagram and all that, and he was like flexing his watch everywhere and all that. Yeah,
I don't blame him, dude.
It's a Rolex.
First of all, it's a Rolex. He won the 200, and he's Brandon, so he's gonna do that anyways.
It's Brandon, it's Brandon. Like, obviously, no disrespect to Brandon, like, because I think he's a legend. I've been speaking to him for a long time as well. And it's Brandon. It's kind of what he does.
Exactly.
He's a special guy.
Yeah.
So in terms of a Daytona, What do you have to do differently in terms of setup, etc., to a normal race?
Well, you got to eat less because you definitely don't need to be as strong. You just got to be freaking light. And honestly, in terms of setup, like, it's not too different. The biggest change is there's bike differences because of the pit stop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
obviously
you have
exactly,
the quick change stuff, the quick tank, and then the tires are way different. The rear tires are made special for Daytona to make that left hand side quite a bit harder than usual, just because we're on the
tire,
because we're on the banking. Yeah, the banking at freaking 100 something miles an hour, 200 miles an hour. So
how does that feel?
Insane. Like, obviously you already get used to it at the end. It just feels like second nature. But I remember my first time ever at Daytona, and I couldn't believe it. Like, I felt like I was sliding down a freaking waterfall with my 600 for the first time. But you adapt quickly to it, and it's super cool to not only ride there but also race there against, like, usually the first half of the 200 is always, with like 6 or 7 rider groups. So to be able to be battling out at a track like that, slipstreaming, it's super cool to do it on 600s. It kind of feels like going back to Moto3 bikes, but on bigger, faster bikes. So it's cool.
Yeah. That's
pretty
cool.
awesome.
That is. I mean, I know decent amounts of it, but I don't know too much. And I remember, is it right in saying, I'm not like dampening what you're saying, by the way, because obviously the level there is incredibly high. But is it right that there's kind of like, how do I put this? Like, low level riders there as well? Is that right? Like, because I saw Kyle Weimer getting angry.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So there's that's kind of the big issues nowadays. Like, if you look, obviously the Daytona 200, it's like the 80th year or something like that. So it goes back. It goes way back, right?
Yeah.
But if we look at AMA, motorcycle history, like back in the 2000s, like early 2000s, that's when U.S. racing was pretty much at its peak. And back then, the 200, it was like everyone was good. There was 50 riders, but they were all good. Whereas now, I mean, no disrespect to the guys in the back, but like half of them are club racers. And it's just, it is, it's more for not to talk shit about it, but to if you look at the safety part of it, like, look at what happened to Kyle Weimer this year. He clearly he got sucked into a lapper and he got totally hit out and lost his 200 race because of it. So luckily nothing worse happened. We already know anything can happen, but it's more like, I think the 200 has kind of changed to, it's going to be the top 6 or 7 guys that are pros and they're going to fight for the win, and you don't know who it is at the top 6 or 7, but then the rest is just like fill in the grid,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Which is kind of it obviously it is kind of bumming, but it is what it is. Like, it's the situation that the US is in right now in terms of racing. So I think it's going to slowly build back into it.
Yeah,
because it does add a different dimension to normal, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's an interesting race at the end of the day. I mean, it's not really much like it, to be fair.
I almost don't blame the club racers, because if you get the chance to race the Daytona 200, you're taking it now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
100%.
And it was quite cool meeting a guy like Michael Dunlop.
he's a legend, man. A legend.
Have in there. Yeah. Super cool guy.
Is he?
Got a picture with him, and just super cool.
Yeah, I really like Michael. Obviously, we could talk for hours about Michael Dunlop. You know.
Yeah. I heard he was kind of. I heard actual Daytona weekend that he was a little bit pissed off at at the team and the bike that he was given. I don't think it was what he was expecting. So I don't know the truth of it. Of course, it was only paddock talk, but that's what I heard. So. I hope he gets given another chance and with something good, and he's not sick of it already.
Because he runs his own team. It was like his own team, but the guys he was given, I believe, the guys he was going to bring over couldn't get over because of COVID restrictions, but he could because he's a professional athlete, and so he got given like some random mechanics that he didn't even know, and they kind of made some mistakes, etc., and screwed him over, man. But
it happens.
Yeah, it's tough. I want to ask, obviously I can know that the time's getting quite on at the moment now, so I don't want to keep you too long.
We've been rambling for a bit.
Yeah, it's good though, it's good. I hope people are enjoying it.
I've got to be honest, I've just been sat here with a smile on my chops just listening. It's been great.
Good. So, doing my job.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, the next one, it can be cut, by the way. Like, if you don't want to answer this, that's completely fine. But I've talked to a few birdies at the end of last season, heading into this, and you've pretty much already mentioned what I was like. Should this be public? But obviously, I talked to quite a few people who told me that you were in talks with some World Supersport teams. I know the teams, but obviously, I'm not going to mention them because, But I want to ask you: do you feel you would belong in World Supersport, or do you feel that Moto2 is the goal, or do you not mind as long as you're racing on the world stage?
I mean, at this point, I'll love either one. I'll take anything. But so, clearly speaking, I did have a few talks, pretty deep talks. Yeah. I think I did mention it to you at the end of last season, even though it was kind of quiet. But there was and have been talks and stuff like that, and at the end of the day, like for sure, Moto2 World Championship is MotoGP paddock is more of my place, or in terms of like my dream goal, which I think it is for many riders. But at the end of the day, like I would, there's so much support in the World Superbike paddock, like Yamaha factory supporting the World Supersport teams and stuff like that. So like if I could get on a program like that, like I would be extremely grateful, and it would be a dream. Like it's still a world championship, so that would be a dream, and for sure either one would be great for me, and I think it would be great to be in either one to continue learning and just making steps in my career.
Yeah, I mean, do you ever see maybe Suzuki doing a project over there and putting you in? Because if Suzuki made a project, obviously you'd be a name in the hat, 100%. Do you think Suzuki would ever push it again, or?
Well, I've personally never heard of anything like that, and I don't see it happening. Well, but also that's because I feel like that's just what I've heard from the American Suzuki side. Of course, I don't know how Suzuki is from the side of Japan, US, Europe, all that side. So that would honestly, I think that would be super cool. Like I would love to be able to, I think I'm one of. Obviously, there's not many guys racing a Gixxer 600, so
barely.
I think it would be super cool to be able to build a World Supersport Gixxer 600, and for me able to put myself up to the test, on a bike like that, and see how it does, and see how I do against it, and see what can be developed. But at the same time, Suzuki would have to make some work because the bike I'm racing has been the same for about 10 years. So they need to step it up a little bit.
There's only so much you can do with a 10-year-old bike in there, really.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy how fast it can still go, though.
Because I mean, these Yamahas are obviously. I remember a few years ago, no one used the R6 in like the Supersport Championship. It was mainly Honda and Kawasaki. Then Yamaha brought out this bike, and everybody, it's pretty much an R6 Cup now, the World Supersport Championship, with the old Kawasaki and MV in there. So it'd be nice to see a Suzuki in there. But the fact that you're basically racing a 10-year-old Suzuki against these Yamahas and still destroying them it's quite impressive.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, it would be super fun, and I've thought about it, a bunch of times. I know I'm doing good here with Suzuki, but like Suzuki is nowhere else. Like, how would we do with this bike against the best in the world? The best 600s in the world. So I've always thought about it, and it would be super cool, but obviously it's quite the long shot.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we could definitely get you on like a even like BSB for a few rounds would be really good. Get your name out there. BSB is tough. Get you in Caldwell Park.
Go against Pash again.
Yeah.
Yeah, UV patch and BSB. Oh my god, yes.
No, that'd be super cool. Like, those tracks over there look absolutely awesome. I mean, obviously the only one I rode was Silverstone, but that's a different type of track from what I've been since what I've watched.
Yeah, Silverstone's very different.
I've played a lot of the ones, like a bunch of different games. Even like Project Cars. I played
nice.
A bunch of different tracks over there, Donington, Cadwell, all these. So I'd love to even do a wild card someday over there. That'd be super fun. And we'll see.
I'd love that myself. I gotta be honest.
Yeah. If I could fund it, mate, honestly, I'd do it tomorrow. Like, if I had millions of quid, bang, I'd fund it. But
all right, let me know when you rob that bank.
Yeah, well, I've got some Bitcoin and all that, so we'll see how it goes.
There we go. There we go. Yeah. You're loaded nowadays.
Oh god, yeah.
One other question I just wanted to ask, and then I'm completely out of questions. Obviously, you made your Moto2 debut at Valencia on the KTM, in La Corona.
Yeah.
What did you think of the KTM in terms of a bike compared to your Suzuki?
Oh man, yeah, that's a good question because it's so different.
Yeah.
It is completely a day and night. Like, if you look at it from a big picture, that's a 600, a stock 600 bike. Whether it's an R6 or Suzuki, whatever, is as close as you're going to get to a Moto2. Of course, if you look at a big picture.
Yeah.
But if you start, if you get just a step in more and talk about details, like the way the chassis are on both bikes are so different that it completely changed the way you can push one bike and the other. Obviously, my Suzuki is a street bike. It's a street chassis. And the way those chassis respond to you pushing them is not even close to a Moto2 bike, which, then we can compare, Calyx and a KTM chassis, whatever. But just in general, a GP chassis is built to race. So it's built to have a limit that's quite far ahead. And it was it was amazing to ride a real GP bike. It was absolutely like, I can't wait to jump back on one of those bikes because I was lucky enough to already, jump on it when it was the Triumph. And that thing was so much fun. Like, I enjoyed that weekend like never before.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact you run the 69 as well, like I love
that was
so
much. That was definitely kudos.
There's so much to that weekend. Like, just to be called up, to be there at Valencia, to be, doing my debut, to have Nicky's 69 on my bike. Like, there was just so much for me, and it was absolutely amazing. Like, I knew it was going to be super tough, of course, but I soaked so much in that it made me realize how much I wanted to be there.
Yeah.
Fuel the fire.
And no, absolutely. So, bike wise, it was so much fun pushing that bike and understanding it. I mean, obviously I got nowhere near enough time for me to truly understand the bike. I only got, 5-6 sessions in a whole weekend.
Yeah.
So that's all I got. But it's also cool to say that I rode the KTM Triumph, even though now that there's no more KTM chassis. So it's cool. And it also just it kind of makes me want to try a Calyx even more, because they clearly left the KTM for a reason.
Yeah.
So for me to, obviously I was in the back, in the weekend, but I wasn't dead last sometimes. And I finished, 1.7 off of the qualifying time, which isn't
super
category.
Yeah. And we know like 1.7 is if if we talk for real, 1.7 is a lot.
Yeah.
You know, if I talk from a rider perspective, but considering everything, you know, it's the last race weekend. Like all those guys are with hundreds of thousands of miles on those bikes already, just in that season alone. Valencia is one of the most known tracks. I had never ridden that track before. I had never ridden a Moto2, never ridden a KTM chassis, never ridden a Triumph. And you know, I think I'm happy with the job I did. Obviously, I would have preferred to be, you know, up front, but man, let's be realistic here, you know. So it was super cool, and I think it opened up a lot of doors for me. You know, just it got my name on a lot more radars, and it fueled me up, and it was an amazing opportunity and amazing experience. So hopefully it's not going to be the only time.
Digging further into that slightly. They said the KTM 2019 chassis didn't turn. Did you find that?
Well, I don't have a comparison because I've never ridden any other one. So
compared to say the Suzuki.
Exactly. Like if I compare it to my Suzuki, it's so different that I'm like, man, that bike is just fast. It's just great, you know. Like, but I realized that it's a much different type, or just a different style. Like you really need to push the front tire to be able to get it to turn early in. So maybe that is something, you know, similar to what they were saying. And also, like, if you keep in mind, KTM, obviously they're not working anymore with the chassis, but in 2019, when I rode at the end, KTM had brought out for Bender and Oliveira, they had brought out, I think, like 8 or 9 chassis during the season.
Yeah, no, that's right.
I was on chassis number like 3 or 4.
Yeah, you had the slight update, didn't you? You had the Argentina update.
Like, yeah, come on. Like, I was way back, you know? So,
I think the big sign of that KTM was, like, look at Marco Bezzecchi now. He was nowhere.
Exactly. Well,
he jumps on that K-Lex, boom, straight up there.
Yeah, and talking directly about a guy that I rode with as a teammate, look at Joe Roberts. He jumped on the Calyx the next season, and he did I don't know how many poles in a podium. So
exactly,
and Marco for sure. Like I mean, I remember riding with Bezzecchi in like the qualifying. Like I was riding. I mean, I was not as fast, but I was only not too far off. Philip Odell, I qualified like 0.1 off of him. You know, on the same bike, you know, so and he had been on the bike all season, so it was cool, you know, to have comparisons like that, and stuff. So
absolutely. I mean, I was personally gutted because I knew you were at Portimao this year, and oh my god, I was so, but like obviously we want Ramirez to ride, blah 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 blah, you know, got to sound nice, but my god, I was gutted when he returned. I was like, no, just give Sean the ride, please.
I can verify that in the group chat. Oh my god, Ramirez is riding. No.
I was trying to find out what his room number was to go and give him.
In there.
Over the edge, jump in.
Yeah. No, but I mean, it is what it is. Like, obviously, if you guys wanted me to ride, imagine how bad I wanted to ride.
Oh yeah, imagine,
But it is what it is. Like at the end of the day, you know, I was called up, and to be, you know, the first one to be called up, and to be actually taken there, to be on standby, ready to go, like that's a huge opportunity already. You know,
that's huge.
And it shows a lot. You know, so that's already a huge step. And honestly, for me to be able to go again to the MotoGP paddock, you know, I hadn't been there since 2019 because of COVID. So. For me to show up again and to be able to see everyone's faces and everyone hear my name again and see me there again, like obviously I know a lot of people there, you know, because of the Rookies Cup. So for me to be able to go and show up again was super important, and it was just super good opportunity, regardless of not being able to race. So it's all good. I think everything happens for a reason, and I'm hoping I can try out a Calyx really soon, and
fingers crossed.
And that's about it.
We've got to get ART to give you a wild card. American racing, you know, it's the clues in the name. American racing. Come on, get your American on the bike.
Just a shame we haven't got Kota this year, really.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, we might have a double header at Kota. Apparently, there might be a double header at Kota. So,
is that right?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. So, if we can have a double header at Kota, we'll have to get you in there.
Start a petition.
All right.
Yeah,
I'll take my Suzuki if I need to.
Yeah, get your Suzuki there.
Yeah, come on now.
Yeah. Well, this has gone on for it's quite a while because I think we booked on or spoke to you said about half an hour to an hour. So the fact we've had you for an hour and a half now is amazing. Obviously, your time is very limited given the training and all that you have to go and do.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I already did my training this morning, and it's actually easy that I was able to do this while on my bed recovering. So it's cool.
Just chill out.
Easy peasy. Yep.
Nice.
And like I said, super cool to talk to you guys and be able to do this. I feel definitely special to be the first one on, and hopefully sometime we'll do it again and we have, something even better to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, end of the day, you're special to be on first, but it couldn't have been anyone else but you. You're probably the first rider I started speaking to. Genuinely, I think you genuinely are one of the first riders I ever spoken to. So
there we go.
Definitely.
Awesome.
You already had you in mind straight away as soon as we started this and we were talking. Who should we have? First name to come up. SDK.
Yeah, I think
easy.
I've got a list of riders to get on or that are on, and yours literally at the top of the list. So
love it. Awesome. So, thank you guys. I appreciate that.
And we'll definitely have you on again in the future if you're happy to come on again.
Of course.
Hopefully with some amazing news about what's going on. I mean, can you give any hints of what's going on next year? Any talks, or is it all wrapped up, quiet, secret?
Yeah. Well, I wish I could give some hints, but it's too quiet as of right now.
Yeah,
so
I can imagine.
I'll talk to you in private maybe once or twice. I'll let you know.
Well,
but no, truthfully, there's nothing really to even hint about. Just except for the fact that I'm trying to. Obviously, I want to make it over to Europe. We already spoke about that, but I'm also whatever is best for my career and whatever is best that can happen. So I'm working for it. It's still we're only in June, but we're already in June.
Yeah.
So this is when things already start to get stirred up, and I'm hoping to get something much sooner than this year.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully somebody who's listening can help out. Obviously, we've got a decent amount of listeners listening to this podcast. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll always see that I'm always advocating to get Sean Dillon Kelly over. So if anyone's listening has any contacts, make sure to put the feelers in, get Sean Dillon Kelly over to Europe because he deserves to be there 100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
Agreed.
Absolutely. And like you said, I mean, of course, we'd all love to have that, one person listening that can help out to make a full reality happen. But even if I just gain some followers, supporters, people following me, from wherever you guys are, that's already super cool to me. And to have people messaging me from all over the world, that's super cool to me. So that's already a big step.
Perfect. Well, it's been amazing to have you on, and like I said, you will be more than welcome to come on again in the future. And I think that's everything.
I gotta be honest,
awesome.
I don't know about you two, but I've really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. You're our first guest, and the bar's already quite high for everybody else now.
Exactly. No, it feels good. I always love talking about my story, especially when I can just ramble off a little bit more on details, even though, like I told you guys, I can talk about it for days and days because there's so much that some people don't even know about. But it was cool, just talking and getting a little bit into the feels once here and there. So definitely cool, guys.
Perfect. Well, we'll definitely have you on and you can tell some more stories again in the future. And I hope everybody who's listening has enjoyed this podcast, and we'll see you again next time.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it.